So the reason I was successful is that I knew the brief. It was an organisation that provided healthcare services. I knew that the reason that they were applying for that they were putting the tender out, and and I think the most thing about success was being really clear about what their requirements was, like really reading the specification, doing a bit of research about the organisation and what they want, and also having an informal chat before you actually put the tender in, sort of meeting with the key players, the people that will actually make the decision on the tender, and also be the people that you're working with on the tender. So I would say that is imperative to do that. The tender I'm going to share with you, it was quite a big tender, and it was for the NHS. And on the surface of it, it seemed like something that I could do. I actually did this in partnership with somebody, and we did look at the tender, and we thought that we could do it. But having read the specification and thinking we could do it, it then, because it was quite a large figure, there's a little bit more to it. So there's, supplier registration that you have to fill in, there's insurances that you have to fill in. And because of the nature of the tender would have involved, contracting out some of the work, you have to be really sure of the standard of the work of the people that are going to be doing it. And then so it was a big tender, and then so I did fill all those things out, and actually some of the insurances and things that I've got now have enabled me that I'll be able to apply for bigger tenders again. And the timetable was quite short, so I'd also say make sure you've got enough time to do all the things that you've got to do, and the due diligence. So, and then, it has to be a fair process. But what I'm saying, and going back to the first point, when I was successful, you're more likely to be successful if you've got a relationship with the organisation before. You're more likely to be successful if you've done the pilot with the organisation before. And you're more likely to be successful if you've shaped the specification, because you will be given feedback to the commissioners on what they're commissioning. So you've had a dialogue, and they'll say, well, we want this, and you'll say, we can provide this, and that shapes everything. So I actually made a decision to pull out of that tender, because I thought there was a few things. Time was one of them. The checking out everybody that needed to be checked out to actually make the tender a good thing, and also the governance and supply chain. So being really, really sure about that. So the reasons they put those things in is to protect public money for the NHS anyway, and for a commercial organisation is to protect their money. So, the safeguards aren't bad, but you need to know that you can deliver on.
So a lot of the time they talk about with tendering, that that especially for government organisations and the civil service, they talk about encouraging people from smaller businesses. But what I would consider a small business, i.e., myself, is not what they consider a small business. So their idea of a small business is probably at least a team, I would say, of 10, who have been trading, maybe have offices, maybe have, those sorts of things. And I think it would be, what I know now is to really use the having a contact within the organization, asking them what they're going to need before going into the tendering process, because I put a lot of work into writing out my plan and saying what I was going to be able to do, and all of that stuff I can do, but it took time and effort, without knowing that there would be administrative things that I didn't have. So I think that would be, it will be spending more time when it says to find out more information. Do your due diligence, find out exactly what they need before you start to do the work.